Today we'll talk about the not the walls. We're going to talk about the mats, the schach on top. I titled it "Bamboo Mats Kosher for Schach." My mother wants me to start with the fact that my sukkah has a bamboo mat on it, so that might be the answer.
I presume these are all poskim from the like this century,
no,
right?
Bamboo mats, yes, but no. So we'll see right now how the concept of mats comes actually. For almost 1,000 years. So I'll start just with the general requirements of schach on source number 1. What are the requirements for the material of schach that we use? So Shulchan Aruch in source number 1 here just says davar shemisakchim bo. So something which you're going to use for schach needs to meet 3 requirements. Sarich sheyet someach min haaretz, has to be something which grew from the ground. Has to be talush. It can no longer be attached to the ground. That's why you can't build your sukkah underneath a tree, because that's attached. That's a problem. And the third one, ve'eno mikabel tuma. The schach is not allowed to be something which is susceptible to tuma. So what is susceptible to tuma? So pretty much anything which is a utensil is, one area which covers a lot is anything which is utensil is settled to tuma. So if you go into your house, any pot, pan, and kitchen utensil, but other utensils that you have as well, hammer, etc. And clothing also is settled to tuma. But what another type of tuma that we have, this is a specific and unique type of tuma, and this is going to be the most relevant for what we're talking about, is that when it comes to a nida and some other, only a few types of tuma that we have, there's a special type of tuma called tumas midras, which means that whatever a nida sits or lies on can become tameh. And that's going to be important for us for the mats question, because when you're dealing with mats, the question that's going to become is, if mats are used ever for sleeping on, then they are something which is mekabel tuma. If that is then mekabel tuma, it's problematic. And obviously you're not allowed to, because that's one of the requirements, you're not allowed to sleep on it, use it, as schach, because since it is used as a mat, it is used to sleep on, there's the ability to become tuma, and is now hustled from being used.
When it comes to anything, it doesn't have to be necessarily used, but if it's susceptible,
so we'll talk about how we're going to define that now, and how that's going to relate to the mats we're talking about. So those are the general requirements for, in terms of the material for schach. It has to grow from the ground, it has to be detached from the ground, and it has to be something which cannot be mekabel tuma. So in source number 2, which that heading I have as schach mat, so this really comes, it's a discussion in the Mishnah and the Gemara, so this is an old time question in terms of using mats for schach. And here the Shulchan Aruch writes, machzeles is a mat. Shel kanim, so kanim are branches, kash is straw, shifa and gemi are 2 types of leaves. If I remember, one of them was brush. I think that's just more of a general type of plant. The other one, I forget exactly what it was called. There are 2 different types of leaves. So if you have a mat made of any of these materials, so whether, it doesn't matter if it's flat and therefore meant to be slept on, or whether it's not so flat and not so comfortable to sleep on. Im hiktana, if this mat is small, stama omedes l'shchiva. So we assume that if it's a small mat, it's used to sleep on. Umikabelas tuma, and therefore it is mikabelas tuma. It can become tameh, ve'en v'sakchim ba, and therefore you can't use it as schach. Ella imkein asa'a l'sikuch. But when you made this mat, if you made it for the specific intention of schach, so then it is okay. Now why is that? Because seemingly once you make it for schach, so you have the ability to determine, this is not a mat that you're going to sleep on, this is a mat that I'm going to use for schach, and therefore it is permitted.
If you made it?
So we'll get back to that in a minute. I have here in the italics the Ramah. Let's skip that for now. Let's go to the next line, V'im hi gedola. Let's first get the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch. V'im hi gedola, if we're dealing with a big mat, stama omedes l'sikuch misakim ba. So we assume, the assumption is for a big mat that it's made to be used as shade for schach. Ela im kein asa'a lishchiva. So what the Shulchan Aruch says is that when it comes to a small mat, the assumption is it's used for sleeping. But again, if you have in mind to use it for schach, it's okay. And for a big mat, the assumption is it's used for shade. But if you have in mind to sleep on it, then it's not okay.
Does anyone define big and small?
Not that I saw. I don't know exactly. I don't exactly know how to define big and small. But what the Shulchan Aruch does say is that everything depends on your intention. If your intention is to use it as schach, then it seems to be okay, because then it's not mekabel tuma. If your intention is to use it for sleeping, then it's not okay, and you can't use it. But if the line I skipped in the Ramah, the truth is I'm going to get back to this in source number 4. The line I skipped in the Ramah was he adds another detail, and that is if you go back to line number 3 in the italics there, the Ramah says, again, the first part was if it's a small mat, we assume it's meant for sleeping, unless you specifically made it for shade. The Ramah adds, Dahainu sherov b'nei osa ha'ir osin osa l'sikuch. The Ramah says this only works if the majority of people in your town use it for schach. If the majority of people in your town use it for another purpose, then it's going to be problematic. Why is that? We'll get back to that in source number 4. He quotes the Rosh, and that's the source I have there for the background.
So that would impact if you go down to Chinatown and buy it as opposed to...
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
As opposed to...
buying it specifically for schach.
Correct. So in source number 3, I quote here, I've been quoting him a lot recently, the Tzitz Eliezer, who again was Rav Eliezer Yehuda Waldenberg, was a big posek in 20th century, passed away in 2006. So I'm just going to quote you how he starts his discussion talking about schach mats, and we'll see what we're dealing with. L'Rab Gadol Echad, so said he was dealing with one rabbi, Al Davar Asher Sha'alani Im Mutar L'Sakech Es HaSukkah B'Machzalos Shel Kash Chadashos. Am I allowed to use sukkah mats, let's assume bamboo mats, as people use nowadays, as schach in my sukkah? So he says, Ki rabim hischilu lahakel l'sakech bazeh. He says, many people have been lenient and start using this as schach. V'lafi ani osdaiti, but according to my humble opinion, nireh she'en lahakel l'sakech bahen. Should not permit anybody to use this as schach. U'mei olam lo shamanu adko, and until now I've never heard anybody shemishu yakel l'sakech b'machtel. So I've never heard of anybody who permits using these mats as schach. V'yesh al kain ligdora pirtza, and therefore we have to stop this terrible breach. V'ifnei shetiskala yoser v'yehei kashet kvar ligodra v'avarer divrei halacha. So this is how he begins. He begins telling you it's completely aser, and then he goes on to explain why he thinks it is aser. So that's what we're going to do. There are 3 main concerns when we're dealing with the sukkah mats, or let's call it the bamboo mats. And the Tzitz Eliezer is one of the Tzitz Eliezer and Rav Elyashiv are the big recent rabbis who said they're aser. Most other contemporary poskim said it was mutter. Shlomo Salman says they're mutter. Rav Ovadia Yosef says they're mutter. Rav Moshe Feinstein doesn't really talk about bamboo mats. He talks about something else. I'm saying they're aser. I'm not sure how he would deal with bamboo mats themselves. So the first problem we talked about, the first problem we said was it cannot be something which is mekabel tuma, which means that it can't be a mat that was used for sleeping on. So the issue that we have is, well, that will depend where you buy it. If you if you're going to China where they're made, or other places, I looked online, Home Depot sells them as well. So if you go to somewhere like that, they're not, I don't think, truth is I don't know why Home Depot is selling them. I think they're selling them as rugs. I don't think they're selling them as shade. So if they're selling them as rugs, that's something to sit and sleep on, so then it would be mekabel tuma. And if it's something which is therefore mekabel tuma, it certainly cannot be used as schach. But if you go and somebody makes it for the specific purpose, when you buy these bamboo mats now, they come with these, I think hechsherim on the, the hechsher, I think on the outside. So they're telling you, we made this for schach. And therefore, if we made it for schach, again, it's not mekabel tuma. It's not something to sleep or sit on. And therefore, that should get rid of that problem. Another issue that comes up, and this is what Rav Moshe does address, it's not on the sheet. I didn't have a chance to look it up. Rav Moshe talks about Venetian blinds. Anyone know what Venetian blinds are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they just? My assumption was that they're just wooden wooden slats that are used as blinds for a window. So he was dealing with the question of, can you use Venetian blinds as your schach? And he said it was forbidden to use those because the issue was the material which binds it together is something which is mekabel tuma. And since the material which binds it together is mekabel tuma, I think the way the Rav Moshe talks about it is that therefore it makes the whole, everything that's attached to it, so the boards as well, mekabel tuma as well, and they would be problematic. Even if you don't take that reasoning, something which you have to be concerned about as well, I think this is subject for debate, but is what material is holding these bamboo mats together? I think, so the bamboo mats that I have, I'm pretty sure what holds them together is, I'm pretty sure, hemp. So hemp is a natural material, I think, which we assume is not mekabel tuma, and therefore, if what's holding them together is a mekabel tuma, then you don't have a problem. The issue that might come up is if you, let's say it's metal that holds them together. So that is something which is mekabel tuma. But not even so. What the issue is, there's a concept that we have when it comes to the schach, which is a concept called ma'amid. Ma'amid is the support of the schach. So the schach itself, we just said, have the requirements. Shulchan Aruch says when it comes to the support of the schach, meaning that which is holding up the schach, or that which the schach directly rests upon, should also be kosher for schach, theoretically. So therefore, if you assume that this wire holding it together is really what's holding that schach together and what's holding it up, then that might be a problem of ma'amid, again, if it's metal or whatever it is, because the support for your mat is not kosher for schach. So I think the Shulchan Aruch only says it in terms of a lechatchila. But b'diavad it's fine, but certainly not something that you would use lechatchila for the schach mat. So those are some of the issues. Yeah.
But I heard, for example, one way to address that, you put wood slats, then you put your schach on top of that in a way that if you would remove what is holding the mat together,
then it wouldn't be okay. Right. So the way you would do it is if you put boards underneath which are perpendicular to your mats, so that which is supporting the mat is no longer what's holding it together, but it's really the boards underneath. And I think that would then be considered the ma'amid, and that's supporting them, and that would be a way to address them. But I'm pretty sure, I don't know. Truth is, I only know the bamboo mats that I have. I assume that all these kosher bamboo mats are held together with hemp and are not used metal. Anyone?
There are just some that are used nylon. That's mekabel tuma either.
Oh, so nylon. Okay, so nylon's an interesting question. That's a machlokas, I think, for nylon. And the reason is because nylon, what I saw written, is only tuma d'Rabbanan. So it's a lower level. So Rav Ovadia Yosef and others, I think, say because it's only Tuma D'Rabbanan, then we're not concerned that that's what's holding it all together. I think others are Machmir. So I think that's subject to a Machlokas, but certainly the rabbis who say nylon's okay. That's issue number one, addressing the issue of can it become Tameh. That's, I think, the easiest issue to deal with. Again, because if you have in mind not to use it as shade, and you have, let's say, hemp tying it together, then you're okay. The second issue, which is in the third section here, source number 4, is the problem of maris ayin. That even though when you made your schach, maybe, and your bamboo mat, you have in mind to use it as shade, other people in your city might be using that as something to sit on or sleep on. And if they see you using your bamboo mat, what are they going to say? Oh, I can use the bamboo mat from Home Depot as bamboo, and that's a big problem. So are we concerned for this? So the Rosh, Rabbeinu Asher, is the 13th century, 14th century Rishon, so he quotes an argument here. In source number 4, I'm going to start reading. It says, Kasav Harab Yeshaya Mitrani, who's also known as the Tosos Rid, Elu HaMachzalos Shemochrim HaTagarim. So when you have these mats that the merchants are selling, Bistama Lav Lishkiva Avidi. And the normal mat is not made to sleep on. Shehein Mimalin Osan Semer. Because what do they do with these mats? They actually take these mats and fill them with wool and then I guess transport them. Vigam Osin Mehen Mechitza. Some of them are used as boundaries, fences. Hilchach Lav Basar Asiyasam Azlinan. How do we determine, go back to your question before, how do we determine the intention of the sukkah, right? What I wanted, what the person made it, who determines? That's what we're saying here. So what the Rav Yeshaya Mitrani is saying is we don't go basar asiyasa maslinan sheha why we don't care really with the person who made it what his intention was sheuman ina osa osan elul mochran, because the person who is making the mat, all he cares about is he can sell it. If he can sell it, he's happy. He doesn't care what the person buying from him is going to do with that mat. He's going to sell to everybody however they want to use it. And therefore, how should we determine the status of this mat? Whoever buys it. If somebody bought it with the intention to sleep on it, but if you bought it for another purpose, i.e. to use it as shade, then it's not mekabelas tuma and it's okay. Somebody can buy a new mat. When he buys it, he has in mind to use it for the sukkah. And then to use it as schach. Even though it's able, you could use it to sleep on. We care about the person who bought it and his intention. Since he bought it with the intention to use it for sukkah, it's not mekabelas tuma, and we're okay. That's the first opinion that the Rosh quotes. But the Rosh argues, this is the fourth last line on the sheet right after the period. Below mistaverli, it doesn't make, I don't agree with that. Elabasar minhag anshe hamakom aslinan. It's determined by whatever the minhag is of your locale. Kedika Amar, and here he quotes the Gemara here, Lo nechlik Rabbi Doza chamim amachzals usha shein tmeos. Hilchach b'makom shenagu lishkav aleihen, in a place where people use these mats to sit and sleep on. Afilu amar leuman, even if you go to the store and you tell the person making the mat, l'takna lo l'sikuch, make me a specific mat for schach. Ein mesachim ba, you can't use it as schach. Why? Demi yodea she'amar leuman l'takna lo l'sikuch. Who knows that you went to the store and put in a special order to make a schach mat? Ve'asu kule alma l'sikuch l'skuchepe, and everybody's going to come use these mats for schach. So the Rosh is concerned for this problem of maris ayin. Not that it's actually mekabel tuma. Again, you made it for schach, there's no problem. But since most of the people in your city are using it for sleeping on, when somebody comes over to your house and sees the mat on your sukkah, they're going to say, oh, wow, you're using a mat that people used to sleep on for sukkah, and they're going to do the same thing, and that, we said, is pasul. So going back to source number 2 in the Ramah, when I said the Ramah had that caveat that it has to be most of the people in your city use it for sukkah, he's based on this Rosh. That he's concerned that even if you have in mind to use it as schach, if most people in your city, town use it for another purpose, which would make it tameh, then you would not be allowed to use that mat. And here, in source number 5, I just quoting for the Be'er Halacha, who is the Be'er Halacha is when the Mishnah Berurah wants to go more in depth into a topic, so on the side of the Mishnah Berurah, he writes in the Be'er Halacha. And here he just quotes from a Rabbi, Bikurei Yaakov, I don't exactly know when he lived, and he talks about Ayin b'magin Avram, Dibimkomos halalu, Stamach Tzelas, talking about a mat, and wherever we live, Hainu ben Gidola ben Ketana l'shchiva. It could be going back towards your question before in terms of nobody defines big and small, because it could be that, again, we're depending more on what the minhag of the place is. So if that, what he's saying here is that in probably the 19th century at the time, but it wasn't relevant to talk about big and small. Everybody used them for shkia. Everybody used these mats for sleeping on, and therefore they would all be problematic. Therefore, even if you made it explicitly within mind to use it as schach, Mikol makom psuli midrabanan, it's still possible midrabanan. Why? Mehatam shepasak harosh, because of the reason, according to the Rosh, demiyodei nasu l'shem schach, v'asur mivnei marisa ayin. So what he's quoting here is the Magen Avraham, who's quoting the pasuk like the Rosh, and we are concerned for this issue of maris ayin. And therefore, it says v'chadashim mikarov ba'u, we've had this new innovation. So now, again, probably in the 19th century, they have this new innovation to start using these mats made out of willow. Ve'osa machzalos, and these types of mats, we generally use them to sleep on them or to sit on them. I guess they would line their wagons with this willow mat, I guess these leaves, which would make it more comfortable, and therefore they're a big problem. Again, therefore we have this concern of maris ayin, afilu asa'an, the shame, strach, even if you make them for the purpose of strach. V'lachein kol shomer nafsho, yerchak mizeh, anybody who's concerned will distance herself from it. He says, ubi prat, im osan machzalos, kfar nishtamshu behem ba'gala, afilu lo lishchiva v'yeshiva, rak lekabel psulin midoraisa. And then he says, certainly if there's something which were already used, in a sense, here he's talking about being used to contain something. So if it once used to contain something, then we have a problem because then it's Mekabel Tuma, and then it would be Pasol D'Oraisa. So here we too see that the Be'er Halacha, again, he wrote in the early 20th century. We're probably quoting Rabbi from the 19th century, talking about this problem of Maris Ayin, but their willow mats that they had, most people used it, and therefore it's a problem. And if you look...
Sorry, when I say it's dependent on what most of the community does, are they talking about just the Jewish community or the community as well?
So, I want to do one more source, then we can talk about that for a second. The Tzitz Eliezer, again, within the Tshuva, so he quotes Maris Ayin as one of his concerns. Again, he said it was completely possible to use these types of mats. And he says, V'im ken yotzei, in source number 6, yotzei lanu gam legabei didan. He says, for us, he was living in Israel. Shebiyos b'zachinu v'ezros Hashem lekibutz galios mikol ha'edos. Since we've merited the fact that people have come to Israel from all different places. V'yodim anu sheruba deruba me'edos hamizrach. And we know that the majority of people coming from Edot HaMizrach, so I guess some of the more Sephardic communities, they use these mats to sleep on. Furthermore, we know, even in the Ashkenazi world, there are many people who use these mats to sleep on. And the majority of people use these mats to sleep on. Even when you made these mats and you had in mind to make them for schach, no good, because Rinan Kanal, like we mentioned before, everyone's going to come to start using their mats, which majority of people are saying use it to sleep on, and take that mat and say, oh, that's convenient, put it on their sukkah, and it's a problem. And certainly if you already used it for sleeping on, hare pasol min ha-Torah. Then it is pasol min ha-Torah. So how do we define what the majority of people are? So, truth is, I didn't really find any good discussions on this. The Tzitz Eliezer, who's here, says it's pasol. So he seems to be basing it on the country, I would say. He says, most people have come to Israel. That's what he's to be talking about. They're coming to different places, and the majority of people here use it for schach. When I looked at these other rabbis who say it's permitted, I didn't see anybody address the issue of Maris Ayin of the Rosh head on. What I assume they're going to have to say is that the mats that are made for schach are different. I think they're going to have to say that they're not the same type of mat. I don't know. I haven't done a comparison. If you look at the mats that we use versus the mats that they sell at, let's say, Home Depot, my assumption is, they probably look different. I'm assuming the Home Depot ones are made, especially if they're going to be used as a rug, I'm assuming they're made nicer, they're finished nicer, and etc. Because what I'm thinking is that the fact that these major stores are selling them, you would assume that they are going to outnumber the amount of sukkahs that we have in Toronto, especially because not everyone who's in Toronto is using bamboo mat. So my assumption, I don't know this for sure. I don't know. I haven't gone to the store and asked them how many they sell, or gone to all the stores in Toronto to determine what the rove is. But even if so, either you could say maybe that's not the rove and people don't actually buy them. I don't know. Or even maybe if it is the rove, I guess what we're going to have to say is that what we're using for these bamboo mats you can't even put them in the same category. If you're going to put them in two separate categories, then you're not concerned about Maris Ayin. Maris Ayin, I guess, is when you're really using the same thing. again, the bamboo mat that I have is not something that I don't think I would ever sleep on or, put as a rug in my house. So I'm assuming it's based on that logic. I haven't seen that stated explicitly. So either, again, we assume that we are the rov, which I find harder to believe, or that, again, we're dealing with two things, mats, which are so different that we're not concerned with the problem of Maris Ayin. The last, two more concerns on the back of the page. In the fourth section, in source number 7, I have something which is called either Gzeras Tikra or Gzeras Nisarim. Tikra is a roof, Nisarim are boards. When it comes to using schach, the rabbis forbade using schach, which if somebody uses that, whatever using a schach as a roof in their house, so then the rabbis say it's forbidden. Because they don't want you whatever it is, making a permanent roof. They don't want you making your actual roof. They're concerned that if the material using a schach is the same material used in your house, maybe you'll just start living in your house, and that's not it, meaning that's a permanent roof, it's not a kosher sukkah, whatever it is. So there are certain prohibitions that gzeras that they made, even if it's, all the materials, those needs are met, that's still forbidden. And one of the gzeras is, you're not allowed to use a board which is more than 4 tfachim wide. So 4 tfachim wide it's a range, but somewhere around 1 foot. Kind of a board which is more than... Sorry? Wide. Sorry, I think dealing with wide, not thick. I guess about a foot. And the reason is because those are boards which are used for... I guess you could say those are boards used for construction, to use as roofs. Say probably more in the times of the Gemara, maybe as opposed to nowadays. But those are boards which are used, and you might confuse that with a regular roof, and it's a problem. So the question is, what happens when you have a board or a group of boards which are much less than 4 tefachim, but you start tying them all together? Right now, the aggregate is much more than 4 tefachim. Does that fall under the Gzeras Nisarim, Gzeras Tikra? Is that a problem? So the issue only comes up, it comes up a while ago. The Rashba, who is one of the Rishonim, talks about this problem. And the Rashba says if you tie boards, if you connect boards, even though they're less than 4 tefachim, when you connect them all, they're more than 4 tefachim, you cannot use them as schach. And it's because of this Gezerah. The Beis Yosef, who again, the Rav Yosef Karo, before he wrote the Shulchan Aruch, he wrote the Beis Yosef, which is more of an encyclopedic work. He quotes the Rashba. However, in the Shulchan Aruch, he doesn't quote him. So in his codified halachat sefer, he doesn't quote him. None of the Nosei Kelim, none of the commentaries on Shulchan Aruch quote him as well. So it seems to be the Shitas Yachid, the Rashba is concerned with it, and nobody else is. But that's not true. Source number 7.
That's only with boards, or like also.
No, because even these, let's say a bamboo mat. The problem is because together, you might say that bamboo isn't a problem because bamboo. I don't even know, is bamboo considered wood or is bamboo a straw? I don't really know what it is. You could say maybe straw. You're not going to have that concern because the material itself. But certainly, when you're taking smaller boards, let's say you had boards that were. So let's assume bamboo is a board. I don't even know. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's not even a board, and you might not even have this problem to begin with. But certainly, if it is, so now you're connecting them. So now they're certainly more than 4 tefachim.
But like if you take branches that are irregular, it's not that they are straight.
I don't think that matters. The fact is, once it's more than 4, you're right. I don't know. I don't know if it matters if it's like that. It could be if it's a really big gap, then it's not. So he quotes here in source number 7. This is the Shevet HaLevi, who is Rav Wosner. Who's one of the leading post-game B'nai Brak, I think. VDD Hakon Rabbi Yosef Shalom El Yashiv. He's quoting Rabbi El Yashiv. Shlita Chashash Od Chashash. So he had a concern. Dulai Domel Lemfor Beis Yosef Siman Tarchat. Maybe these mats are similar to, again, the Beis Yosef, who we said quoted the Rashba. V'chevan danisarim tikuim, since they're stuck together. Harei kol hanisarim kineser achad. They're all as if they're one board. Rachav v'yesh b'hem gzeras tikra, and therefore we have this concern of it will be like a roof and it's problematic. V'choshesh harav hagon haniskar la'el, and with Rav Wasser's going Rav Yashiv, and he was concerned. T'chevan dehem devukim al yidei ha'ariga harei na'asu kineser achad rachav. They're as if they're one long board. V'yesh ladun mishum psul rachav dalet. But then he argues. He says, Ivra l'didi, and I think this svara to argue is going to make sense to most of us. Davka chashash zeh lo nira li. I'm not really concerned with this idea of Xeris Tikra. And why is that? Kevan de lo nase shetach echad al yidei hachibur. Since it doesn't really, even when you combine them, it doesn't form one solid area. Daha miskapel, right? Schachmak roll, they fold over. Kimo dvarach, it's something which is really soft. We're not concerned that this is a board. A board is something which is solid, something which you would potentially use as a roof. Here, it's not solid. Even though they're all connected, we're rolling them up. They're soft and etc. And therefore, you don't have to be concerned for this Xeras Tikra. So those are the three major concerns that we talked about. A, can't be Mekabel Tuma. That's obvious. Maris Ayin is what you have to be concerned for. Maris Ayin. Tzitz Eliezer certainly was. Others were not. And then Xeras Tikra was a Chumrah of Rav Yashiv, which Rav Wosner rejects, and the other rabbis rejected for the same reasoning, that we're not actually concerned by connecting these bamboo mats that it's going to turn into a board. Pretty interesting. The last source I have here, it's funny how this often comes up in almost every halachic discussion you talk about. Here's the Chelkas Yaakov Rav Breish, lived in the mid-20th century. I think he was in Switzerland. So he's talking about using these mats. So again, this is like 60 years ago, but he says, he goes through a tshuva, and he actually concludes that, according to the strict law, it's probably mutter. He says, we should not make innovations to that which our forefathers did. We don't want the mitzvah of sukkah to be something which you treat as a joke. He says, certainly in our days, harabim, with all of our sins, the mitzvah sukkah mekaimim rak hacharedim, that only really the real strict, I don't know if charedim here is like how we use the term charedi, but only the real stringent people are building sukkahs. Most people aren't. Vadai de lahem naos lekayim behidr. We should have them do the mitzvah in the best way, the best possible way. We don't want them to start bringing in these innovations, using these mats as their schach. Because then you might come to use something which is mekabel tuma, or you may use something which is more than 4 tefachim. I don't know why he's calling it a new innovation. We saw here that since the time of the Rishonim, talking about using schach mat. So I don't know. A, I don't know why he's calling it an innovation, and B, even if it is, so what? It's still kosher for schach. So again, it seemed to be Rabbi's concerned for the integrity of the mitzvah. I don't know if you have that same concern. Nowadays, I haven't seen anybody be concerned that the problem is something which is innovative. I don't even know why he considers it innovative. These are just some of the concerns that people have with bamboo mats. So I guess I'm pretty sure the prevailing custom here is to use them, but certainly there were post-game Tzitz Eliezer, Rav Yashiv, and their followers, I'm assuming, will not use the bamboo mats either for the Maris Ayin problem or for the Xeris Tikra. Again, this is talking about even the ones that come with the Hechsher. So even dealing with the problem of it's no longer Mekapel Tuma, they would still say that it's forbidden. Certainly, I guess for everybody to go to Home Depot might be problematic because, again, if that's the rove, if the majority of people are using it to sleep on, then it's something which is Mekabel Tuma, and it'd be problematic. Yes?
And you mentioned like Rabbi Salman Auerbach or Rabbi Obadiah Yosef are fine with them. Are there shuvas that mention why?
So Rav Shlomo Zalman has a lot of things written in his name that he didn't actually write. So I had a sefer. In his sefer, he says it's mutter, but it was only a one-liner, and the footnote wasn't really so informative, so I didn't bring it. And then where I saw Rav Ovadia quoted also was in a book. I couldn't get the actual quote on to bring on the sheet. Yes, I can really only bring the machmir opinions on the sheet, but but the Makel opinions do exist. So that's
the Home Depots of the world also sell window blinds made out of that material. So but that problem there is there's a metal
So
embedded into the blind.
So I think that would be more the problem that Rav Moshe was talking about. I didn't bring it. I didn't look into it well enough to talk about it in depth. But the Venetian blinds, I'm assuming this would be something similar. That would be a problem similar, which Rav Moshe says are forbidden to use as stock. Okay, thank you very much. Good to hear.